Welcome along, everyone. Happy Monday. Hopefully you enjoyed your weekend playing good and bad golf. I played a bit of bad golf, but I'm sure you played some nice golf. Hope you enjoyed the Friday live that we had, and you managed to catch up on everything that we talked about. Obviously, we discussed some fairway woods off of the fairway, always a very difficult club to use. Go back and check that out if you haven't done so already. Well, we've been promising you a live from the putting studio. Mike, our in-house putting expert, he was the guy that really got Paul Hurrion to come down, a formidable coach within the putting world, but also biomechanics. It's welcome along, Paul Hurrion.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Oh, a pleasure. Thanks for coming down. So give us a little bit of a backstory with yourself. I mean, obviously you've worked with some of the greatest players within the game. Pat on the back.
Oh, Mike.
So give us a little backstory on over the last few years where your coaching has come from and gone to.
How far back do we want to go?
Let's go 15 years. Where were you 15 years ago?
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, fraction further. Let's go sports science degree, and then stayed on to do my biomechanics postdoc in lower back injuries. So that was all good fun, but that was cricket. So lower back injuries in fast bowling in particularly. And funny enough, using force platforms, 3D analysis, EMG, all those sort of terms now that are coming into golf, which is wonderful to see. And it was the Australian cricket physiotherapist at the time, because I was doing some work with foots and shoe design for cricket bowling. Worked with Paul Hurrion and would, as I said, force platforms. And he said, I know a golfer that would be interested in this. And introduced to Padraig, and I suppose that's really when the putting side all started. So Padraig was doing some work with Harold Swash, so I got introduced with Harold, all the Yes Golf design, and the C groove and the ball rolling. So it was a combination of linking all of that together is really where I got into the putting side.
Fantastic.
So
well, we look
long story short.
Yeah, well, we look forward to hearing a lot more about that in a moment. I wanted to introduce Mike Clark. He's our putting expert, fitting and coaching. You can check Mike out via the Precision Golf website. I'm going to hand the mic over to Mike, and he's going to take over. He's going to take over the next hour or so of your time. Stay tuned. There's going to be some fantastic data coming. We've got the Quintix putting studio and the Sand Putt Lab all hooked up, so you're going to be able to see all of the various screens. So really lots of insights coming from these two guys over the next hour. I'm going to be heading over to the drums, the discs, to take all of your questions. So anything that you would like answering, feel free to fire it over on YouTube, and we'll put the questions to Paul and Mike as and when they come in. Enjoy the next hour. I'll hand the mic over to Michael. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Nothing like a live mic transfer, just to after being introduced. Right. Just to sort of further Stuart, so thanks for coming down, Paul. I know we've been badgering you to come down, and I've been certainly keen to show off my my little studio. I mean, it's not so little.
Sorry I couldn't make the opening. I was on holiday.
Family holidays are far more important, especially after the last couple of years when we've not been able to have them. You were golfing down in the West Country.
Yeah, down in Trevose.
Yeah, some interesting golf.
Yeah, well, it's just a lovely spot. Links golf and beach and surfing. Take the dog and
sounds like from the off-camera chat. It sounds like you like a bit of water sports.
Yeah, we do like a bit of that.
Water skiing and stuff like that.
Surfing, anyway, good fun.
Get away from golf during the time off.
Yeah, we can a little bit.
So just sort of go back to sort of you and I met probably 7 or 8 years ago over at Callaway, just down the road when I was working for Callaway Odyssey.
Sure.
And you kindly came and showed myself and my colleagues the wonderful technology that is ball roll, to the point where as soon as I joined here, I was badgering the guys to maybe look to develop and get that involved, because it is an invaluable tool when you're fitting and coaching to be able to see the ball roll and not just make estimates on what the ball roll is doing. You've shown me many times in various webinars that I've sat in and seminars that I've attended how the ball is not effective in the way that you sometimes think it's affected by centre of gravity locations and various things like that. I mean, how important do you feel ball roll is to the final effect on what the ball's actually doing on the green?
Sure. I mean, going back to what I was just saying earlier, but back to university days, we had a high-speed camera.
Yes.
I mean, a super high-speed camera, and
Yeah.
we were able to get up to filming lots of different activities. And I always remember, we did the classic driver, see the ball compress on the driver, hit the driver through a watermelon or whatever. You know those
stuff. Yeah.
Those things. We were doing that 20 years ago, and it was great fun. But then we hit a putt, and it was like, well, I didn't expect to see that.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just off the club face so quickly, and I was just, had we got the calibration right? And there was a little bit of double take to make sure that we had.
Yeah.
And I suppose that really got my interest in the putting side. And I think what we've done is obviously work. If we know what the ball does, once we understand what the ball does, then obviously the club is obviously a big part of what is influencing the ball. But I'd even go further to say what the body is doing is influencing the club. So coming from my biomechanics background, a lot of work with the body.
Yeah.
We understand what the body does, and we can understand what the ball does. Yeah. Then you're kind of covering both ends of the scale. So high-speed camera, looking at the ball data, and just lucky enough, obviously involved in Quintic, which is a computer software company, that interest in putting, and it just developed.
Yeah. So when you first came to Callaway all those years ago, I think it was fairly early on in the ball roll. How was QBR Quintic ball roll evolved speed-wise? Because I know we're kind of middle of the ground at 720 frames a second.
Yeah, it's still pretty quick. I think the first ever cameras were, say, your classic 60 hertz NTSC camera, where you'd split up the frames, or the fields, as it were. Then it would have gone to, say, 100, 120. Yeah. And as camera technology improves, so it's not just the speed of the camera, it's then you've got to process that data as well. So the computer's got to keep up. Yeah. There's always a bottleneck somewhere, and it's like which one
keep up with the average PC.
Yeah, exactly.
Without going into ridiculous speeds.
Without going crazy, send you to the moon and back. But we're up to 1400 frames per second.
And that's on your R&D version.
Yeah, that's R&D. It's robot testing. It's guys that are hitting putts in labs and looking at different impact locations and things. But 720 we say is absolutely plenty for a human.
720 frames a second on what is only 3 inches pre-impact, 3 inches post-impact.
That's what we're measuring. You see a little bit more, but that's the data on the club, and then you've got your 16 inches of what the ball is doing.
And the 720 gives plenty of frames of ball roll data.
Lots of data,
Yeah. And how do you find people are people amazed by what the ball does when it leaves the putter? I know I usually get, I can't believe that when you see the image of the ball roll coming up.
I think that's probably the biggest surprise. They're unaware what is actually happening. Yeah. That they may be launching it 4 or 5 degrees in the air with 30, 40 backspin and a bit of side spin. Yeah. Yeah, completely unaware because it
looks like it's rolling perfectly on there.
Well, of course, as soon as the ball touches the surface, there's friction and it will start to topple it forward. But as we discussed, you don't want backspin going to forward spin because you've got that very bit of unpredictability while it's changing.
I see that on a fairly regular basis, backspin to forward spin.
I would imagine you would.
So it's quite an interesting sort of subject. As you say, when you see someone and they think, I think I've got a good ball roll, and then you start seeing the red lines appear that hopefully when we do the demo in a moment, we won't see too many of those.
Hope not.
Because when you did the demo for me back in, when did I come up? March, February time for a demo up to your lab? And you were quite complimentary of my putting. So hopefully it's not got any worse since I've been working on my tempo and my acceleration on the system. It's really been interesting sort of going through you and coming up and getting certified at the Belfry a couple of months ago with some very interesting conversations.
It was a good day.
Some interesting conversations, especially the one on loft where we tried to get that gentleman from the continent to show us 6 degrees of launch and he couldn't quite do that. And some interesting conversations. You were talking about the influence of ball and the firmness of the golf ball and how that can affect. And that was an amazing chart that you shared for the PGA Tour stats where their success rate had plummeted post 2002.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The change of the ball.
And the firmness of the ball and stuff. Because we get asked that all the time. Is does the ball make a difference? Well, we obviously have our golf balls here, our Pro V ones that you kindly supplied with the little dots on, and people sometimes come in with a pocket full of their own golf balls That can be a big factor, can't it? Especially when we start talking about ball speed control and various things like that. The Quintec does a wonderful job in measuring club head speed, ball speed, your acceleration profile, your impact ratio. I usually have to translate that into smash factor because it confuses people, but I understand why you don't like that term.
Don't like the word smash factor for putting. It doesn't kind of sit right with me. But efficiency of the strike. Yeah, that's essentially what it's measuring. And it's a lot higher than a putter. A lot higher than a driver. With a putter, it's a lot higher than a driver.
Yeah. So let me get my facts right, because obviously I come from a relatively technical background after a decade with Callaway and all the R&D access I had. Smash factor is higher in a putter. Clubhead mass?
Yes, a little bit.
Loft?
Minor.
Yeah. So what's the biggest influence on the difference between a driver that we all think of 1.5, vary up to the sort of 1.9s that we can get
see. Yeah, we can.
in there?
It's the efficiency of the collision. I think there's two things you've really got is the ball will compress with a driver. Yep. And just think of the energy needed to compress a golf ball. Yep. I mean, you've got no chance with your hands or standing. You've got zero chance. Yeah. So there is no compression in a putter. Okay. So it's just it's minimal. You got to go. You got to be hitting it 30, 40. Yeah. I got to hit it a long way. Yeah. And then the other thing is sound and heat. Yeah. So you obviously
lose a lot of that in
the driver and compared to that of a putter. So it's the efficiency of energy transferring from one mass to the other. No and worries. A putter is a lot more efficient.
Yeah, no, that's it. So there's so much that Quintec can show us. So I think probably the best thing to do is if we put it through its paces with my slightly dubious putting stroke. And kind of go through, because obviously the majority of the time I spend in here is fitting. So obviously the majority of people that will be tuning in want to understand how we use Quintec for fitting purposes. Sure. And I know you've got a hierarchy of important factors to look at. So it'd be interesting if we just sort of go through, hit a few putts. We can then talk some of the numbers that we've just alluded to, and then you can see if you can find a better putter for me, basically.
Sure, go through the fitting guide. Yeah.
So I choose a putter and we'll set up.
Have you got a gamer?
I have. It's in the back of my car. I forgot to bring it. It's that one that you said was wonderful for me, except for my acceleration profile. So I'll get one that's similar.
Get one that's similar. Right. Okay. Would you like me to set?
Yeah.
Do we tell people what we're going to do?
So
here's your putter. Where's the cameras? Can you?
Right over on your left-hand side there, Paul. Right in front of you.
Right. So this is the weapon of choice. Would you loft and lie that, or do you know the numbers?
I tend to loft and lie them. Yeah.
So we have the
got the loft and lie in there. So we'll always take the loft and lie just to double check.
Especially what the date is. Sorry? Do you want to do that now?
Yeah, we'll do that quickly.
Go on. Shall I spin this round?
Yeah. It's all automated.
Is it all technical? But you're on.
You are talking to two of the biggest gadget freaks in the world.
Yeah, I can see that over there.
Yeah. I'm surprised Stuart hasn't got his drone out.
There's still time. He might not get very high in the roof, but.
Oh, he's had it flying around in the building before. Don't worry about that.
Brilliant. So can I create Mike, you got your own.
I've got my own folder. There's plenty of test putts here.
There's one or two, isn't there? So what model are we going for?
We have got a Odyssey Chicago, if memory serves me right. See, I still work in numbers, being an old Odyssey man. This is a double wide to me, but I think they call it a
double wide.
No, they call it a. Yeah, it's
a double wide, isn't it?
It's a double wide, but they call it Chicago in the posh versions.
Yeah. Too long.
69 and a half and
69 and a half lie.
3.2.
69 and a half, 3.2.
Yep.
3.2 loft. That's the other thing. You ask most of your clients who walk through the door what loft is on their putter, and I imagine they look at you like,
They struggle with length, let alone loft.
But I imagine there's one or two of the guys downstairs that will know their shaft flex. They'll know how much grip tape they need under their driver, what kick point it is it been pured, and what head weight is in there. When I look downstairs, I'm looking there at the guys over here because they are so fixated on the technology and how a club is made. But this guy, anything will do. Anything comes out the cupboard.
Well, the other interesting one that I get as a question is side to side. And I did say to one of my customers this morning, I find out how long has Quintec ball roll been around? When did you when was the first one?
Quintec was 97 when we first started.
Yeah.
Sorry, am I in the wrong way? That way.
Camera,
sorry,
yeah.
sorry. 97. But we were filming.
Yeah. But as something you could sell to somebody like me as a system to go out and fit and putt with.
Well, the first sales were R&D to the R&D companies would have been 10 years ago, I would say now.
So it's 10 years.
10 years.
But people have always most people have been fitted. One of the first questions you usually ask, have you been fitted for your putter before? It's like, no, never. I never had experience. Sure. It's like, and they're wowed by technologies that have been around for a decade. And I use on occasions your competitors, the Science of Motion machine, because it gives me a little bit of a nice pictorial story to take to them. And I know that's been around since the mid-2000s.
Absolutely.
But because people like myself and facilities like this aren't that frequent, it's hard for people to get good data. So it's one of those tricky things. Yeah.
And again, it's definitely a new, but it's newer, changed. Yeah. It's newer. There's no question about it. The guys playing on tour now.
Seeing a lot more data-driven putting strokes now, aren't we?
Exactly.
Okay.
And so, the reason for changing a product.
Going back to me hitting some putts, because I know we're getting on and me and you could waffle for ages.
Yeah, sorry.
So what we've done here is, for Quintec, we have to have two little sensor stickers, one on the toe, one on the heel, and that's what the camera will actually be tracking during the session. And we have to go through a calibration process.
Just to make sure that, it's a 2D camera that we've got to convert into a 3D
model.
3D world.
So should we do the calibration quickly?
Sure.
I'll grab a laser.
So I've just entered you into the system.
Fantastic. And this is where you need a very good deal with Amazon or a lot of rechargeable batteries, because these lasers we go through batteries a lot.
Got to turn them off.
Yeah, some people aren't quite so good at that.
Yeah, they leave them on and they wonder why they run out.
I'll get the calibration done. So I've got my putter in behind the laser block.
Yeah,
keeping the laser nice and square to the middle of the target.
Yeah, so the laser is square to the target.
That's right.
I hit calibrate. I calibrate the putter. Okay, we don't need quite that long.
That's usually me having to bend my old bones over to make sure it's square.
So from a fitting perspective, just what I like to do is for the player to take their natural setup. Yeah. So their lie angle or their particular shaft lean, the forward or back shaft lean. I think that's an important factor. The only thing we do make sure is that the putter is square to the target. And that's where the laser block came in. Right, so it's calibrated, the data's on the screen. Perfect. I just need to measure the numbers.
Very important measurements.
So the dots on the sticker, everybody, I've just got to convert that into a three-dimensional world. So that is 8.4. So I'm going to enter that on the system. So the software's picked up the dots, 8.4. Then I'm just going to measure that distance here, 5.2. So I'm just going to drop that in. And we're slightly off the vertical. Yep. So I'm going to give you a 75, 76.
Okay.
Right. Over to you, sir. So again, for a fitting, what do we like to do? Typically hit 6 or so putts, let you get happy with the surface.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is the surface important?
Well, I definitely believe. Yeah. Anything indoors will never totally replicate outdoors. There's nothing out there at the moment, friction, etc. The problem you've got, even outside, if we're going to use ball roll, which we can, if I was to hit 10 putts from the same location, putt 11 would be statistically faster than putt 1 because of the trough and that you've flattened the grass down.
Just 10 putts that
10,
data
that's all
starts
you need.
to change.
That's all you need. So please, anybody out there, that you're one of these guys that want a chalk line and stand there and hit 100 putts down a chalk line, I think your grandma will hit the last 60 down the chalk line, because it's just,
and that's why
you've created a trough.
That's why you always hold all the putts in the retail store on that one putt they've got.
That's the classic one, isn't it? The retail
I hold everything in indoors.
Because there's a track all the way down.
No worries.
So from that side, so anytime we go outside, we always got to keep moving around. Then when you come inside, this is why the surface is really good.
Yeah.
There's no nap. There's
Yeah.
very little grain.
Yeah.
And most importantly, it doesn't create a trough.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really, really
Clean
important.
data.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone that uses a putting mat or anything that's putting at home,
Yeah.
I think it's important. Yeah, by all means, it's great practice, of course.
Yeah.
But then you need to vacuum it
fairly
the other
regularly.
way.
Does it? Yeah. Yeah. No worries.
I know.
Right.
Or change location.
Change location. Right. Shall we
So I'm
start the
waffling
first
again.
one?
Yeah. So
That's all
I
right.
activate start putt.
Start putt.
Hopefully we should
Perfect.
be good. Yeah, we're on green.
Fantastic.
So we're on the auto start. So you should be able to hit 6 putts tonight.
As long as I haven't got white shoes
anything.
on.
Shouldn't have to touch anything. So let's see what we've got. See how long you've been practicing.
It's called testing, Paul, not practicing.
Oh, sorry. I'll come across here so I'm more out the way of the camera. Well, that's not a bad start. Blue. I don't know.
Nobody likes to see
No one wants to see that, do they?
I'll quit now, shall I? Blue. There you go. I was going to show
I'll
you a
explain
big pull
blue
left.
in a minute, but yeah, so they've got color coding for the various parameters on the system.
It's going to go downhill from here.
Oh, come on. Yeah, very nice. So again, you're just trying to look when the software is picking up data. Yeah, over 60 different parameters now.
60.
60. I know.
I'll have to up my game then. I always say it's about 26.
Oh no. Well, there's 60 if you really want to get into the nooks and crannies.
I've seen you get a little bit more detailed, and it's quite fascinating.
Yeah, and I suppose how things evolve. What we thought was important maybe 5-6 years ago might have gone down a little bit in order of priority, and others have risen.
From a day-to-day point of view, talking to customers, consumers, good golfers, even at Callaway was probably even worse. Everyone used to think that all I fitted was tour players.
Mm-hmm.
No way.
No,
most of them are high handicaps.
Sure.
But what they worry about, they shouldn't worry about, because they come to a putter fitting with a lot of long game challenges in their mind, lie angle, those sorts of things that are important, but not necessarily for the same reasons.
Correct.
As they're important when you're hitting a wedge, for argument's sake.
Yeah, I do like to separate out the putting from the long game. They are two different aspects.
I always say to people, things that I worry about when I was doing long game fitting, I don't worry quite so much about in putting fitting.
Okay. Yeah, no, agreed. Go on then. So with the auto start, it's a nice little feature.
Nice. It's so much easier when you're doing testing on your own.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So pretty good pace control.
We get a picture of how lined those balls are up.
You want to zoom in on there, do we? Again, green. Just don't want to stand in front of it. We'll digest that.
Many a time there's a picture of my size 9 in front of the camera instead
of
a golf
well,
ball.
that's but it's nicely hidden away. Go on, great, lovely. One more. So that will give us.
Make sure they've panned away from the golf balls, because this one will go miles right or something.
Come on. Well, don't forget, as part of the fitting, that one that does go right or left is important. Yeah. Of course, we can deselect it from the software, but my argument would be, if you can do it in here, you can do it out on the golf course.
Exactly, yeah.
So
I'm quite impressed with that. I'm quite happy.
I'm quite happy too. Yeah. Excellent. So what we've done there is 6 putts gone into the software, yeah?
Yeah.
So 6 putts gone in. So obviously there's lots to go through. But again, if you're part of a fitting, I think that, as we said before,
exactly.
What's the first thing that people want to see? Let's show them what happens when they actually strike the golf ball. So here comes your putter. So you can see how it's tracking the 4 stickers on the club. Coming in, ball's getting struck. There it goes. Yeah. So what do we see? Yeah, and then as it rolls.
That's the thing that amazed me when you first showed me this at Callaway, was how how much the ball launches out of that little indentation it makes under its own mass.
It's, little nest. We call it a little nest. You can see, can't you? Again, if guys on the system, if I put the ball on as well, actually, you can just see how the bottom of that golf ball just gets the weight of it.
And this is a really, as you say, there's no real grain to this, no real nap, and it's sat in there. Unless you're on our nice stainless steel surface here, there's always going to be an element of that.
But even on there, it would still sit in a dimple. Don't forget, it would still sit in a dimple.
The dimple effect.
So that's another one.
That's another conversation. Yeah.
But so the point is, you've got to have enough loft on the putter face, dynamic loft. Remember, so that can be made up of shaft lean and static loft to take the ball out of its own indentation. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
So that's what we're after from a launch perspective.
Yeah.
So that's why we're talking about this. So the launch there, 2.47.
Yeah.
2.47. Now we've got a little rangeometer. So if anyone can spot there.
Yes, it's up on the screen.
It's up on the screen. Excellent. Is it on? Oh no! Yes. So we're. Is it there or not?
I think that's because it's another window. It's probably not.
Oh, right. Oh, is it? Okay. So we can. Okay.
It's another window.
Another window. Okay. Apologise,
right.
but you've got a little launch launch angle. So 247 is close. Anything above 2.5.
Yeah.
We're saying it's just getting on a little bit high.
So to sort of put what Paul's saying into there, unfortunately you can't see there. If you look at some of the numbers there, some are amber, some are green, and when you get the blue ones, you're really quite good because that's robot only.
Robot
only consistently, and then it's a basic traffic light system, isn't it? So when you're looking at the numbers, anything red is dangerous, amber's concerning, green is where we kind of want to be.
Green is where you'd love to be. Yeah, amber it's okay. It's not going to kill you, but
there's room for improvement.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Room for improvement. So you launch obviously 2.4. So nice amount of overspin. You've got plus 30 overspin.
Yeah.
So if I put the actual roll on, you should be able to see. And green's positive. See how that ball has come out. So the energy, the angle of attack, the grooves on the face, material on the face, is creating enough friction to topple that ball forward, which is what we're after. We wanting to see that ball come out with forward spin. And then one of the other tabs, if I just jump across at the bottom, hopefully it does it.
This is where it's going to.
Don't freeze.
Yeah.
No. Oh no, that's not good.
Wheel of death.
What's happened there? Is that because we've got so many things going?
Might do. Yeah.
Got so many things opening. Oh, that's not what we want. Sorry, guys. Apologies. Oh God, great.
Wonderful thing about your software, Paul, is it all loads back very quickly, and you can bring back all the data very quickly, can't you?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Why did you do that? There's lots of.
Nothing better than live TV, Paul.
No, I love it. No, I love it. It's fine.
Everybody likes a car crash every now and then.
So, are you saving these onto the network?
Shouldn't be.
Okay, or is it being saved onto the hard drive?
Should be saved onto that hard drive, yeah.
Okay, come on, work this time. No, you little. That could explain what we're having with the visualization as well.
Cool. Technology is wonderful when it works.
Okay, that could explain why the visualizations are.
Is problematic as well.
Yeah, that's fine. There's some extra bit of software needed. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. I just won't do that again.
I
won't do that again.
I haven't, since we put it on the new computer, did too much with that.
So I think you'd have spotted the same thing.
That, yeah.
Okay, not to panic. Not to panic. Well, what I was going to show you there was the spin axis of the golf ball.
Yeah.
And with your 30, we always work on 5-to-1. We want 5 times as much overspin as side spin.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as long as we're clearly here, 10-to-1.
Can
so
we see that in ball data?
You would see. Oh, you might do. Yep.
Yeah. There we go.
Okay. Yeah. So you have got it. So you just a hint of rifle spin.
Yeah.
That's again another little story. But there's your spin axis of what's actually happening.
So, what's the difference in ball roll terms if I put 30 RPMs of backspin on? How would that affect the ball roll as such?
Well, what the overspin does? Let's go another way. The really important number is when does that ball get to true roll?
Yeah.
So you've got 3 phases. You've got to have a launch phase.
Yep.
you've got a sliding phase,
Yeah.
and then you have a rolling phase.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, the sliding and the rolling are different maths.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So you can have balls that start at the same speed, and they can get to true roll at different points.
Yeah.
And therefore will actually go different distances.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the real thing, because from a player's perspective, it's all about judging the end distance of the golf ball.
Yeah.
So it's consistency of getting that ball to true roll.
Yeah.
That's what we're after.
Yeah.
Basically, if a ball's coming out with backspin,
Yeah.
a little bit of side spin,
Yeah.
it creates an inconsistent distance to
Okay.
true roll,
Yeah.
and you are a lot more at the mercy of the
surface.
Yeah, that you're on.
Yeah.
The better the green, it becomes less problematic.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's still, there's definitely evidence now, we've got good data to prove that if you can get a consistent point of true roll,
Yeah.
then you can predict much
Because
easier the break.
it's so important, and you were talking about acceleration and ball speed control. It's so important for the ball to be reacting similarly from putt to putt to putt.
Correct.
When you come into breaking putts, because obviously, as you say there, if you've got a putt getting to a different point of true roll at a different speed, then that ball's going to react differently on various slopes. A little bit faster, it's going to break later. A little bit slower, it's going to break prematurely. So your speed control is absolutely vital to get your to be able to predict your break and be able to play for your break. Whether you can aim for it is another conversation within the software.
Sure.
But again, people are always a little bit perplexed by when I start talking about how important ball roll is and pace control and various things like that, because they think, oh, the ball's gone through the hole. It's like, yeah, it has on a straight putt, and straight putt stresses your putting stroke slightly differently than a breaking putt. I remember you saying, exactly. Hence why we've got our movable surface there in the corner. I remember you giving us a stat at one of the seminars about the difference. What's the speed variant that can be the breaking point on even an 8 or 9 foot putt that's got a bit of break? How much speed difference can you kind of get into?
In terms of, I mean, you're less than a quarter of a mile an hour difference in ball speed, and you can start to see on the breaking putt, one will stay high, one will miss low, and everything else is the same. And
what's affecting that in a fitting environment? Is that purely the loft of the ball, the spin?
Launch, spin, just like with a driver or with an iron, the angle of delivery, the location point, high or low. Yeah. So again, putter depth, putter material on the face, always going to influence how that ball is spinning.
You want to come and hit some putts, James? Not really, but yeah.
He's thinking. So yeah, all of that is really good. Yeah. So let's just pick that through. So obviously, don't forget, this is just one putt. Yeah. This is just the one putt. So really what I like to look at is consistency. So let me just go back to summary. So if we go to the first putt, that was actually pretty tidy, wasn't it? You had really good
the first putt. We like the first putt. Double blue, double denim.
Double blue. So face is fantastic, 0.24 closed, which is nothing. 0.21 open. A new bit that we've added is what is the address? What's the face angle of the putter the moment the player starts the backswing? Because they can think it's really good with lasers and things, and then they might have a little fidget, or they've got a forward press opens. Yeah. This is your classic what happens. So again, we're measuring the moment you trigger. Yeah. So only a fraction open, but it's very repeatable. Interesting, the lie angle popped up in the air. So between the calibration, so clearly the hands have dropped, or maybe there's a little bit of weight sinking back into the hill. Yeah. But that can have a little bit of influence on alignment. Yeah. How a putter's perceived as the toe goes in there, the heel goes in there.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
So that one. Shaft.
We've just had a question in, Paul.
Yep. Oh. Breaking news.
Breaking news.
Assuming the putter is fitted well.
Yep.
How would you guys recommend someone working on speed, stroke, pace control?
Right, well, let's go and have a look at Mike's ball speed. Now, this is when it gets interesting. So I'm going to go impact speed. Hopefully you can see that here up on the top. Yeah, up on the top.
There we go.
Now, the one that we're really interested in is ball speed. Yeah. So if you can see, out of the 6 putts that he hit, the slowest was 4.91, the quickest 5.5. There's obviously your average. Yep. Standard deviation. But what we're after is the range. So that 0.6. So Once you hit more than 6 putts, it's giving you a color coding of how consistent that is. Yeah. Now, if I click it, it'll pop up. We'll see it, but unfortunately, I don't think the YouTube's going to get it. No. So that 0.6 is just put you into the amber range.
The amber,
So maybe you could get that.
So you take all the left-handed putters off the wall.
Yeah, there we go. So on there, it's perfect. Yeah, there you go, perfect. So we got a color coding. So the blue range of any of the parameters, that's what I'd expect if my robot. If I was in the robot, boom. Green is what we're looking for from a good player. Yeah. Amber, it's not disastrous, but something we could potentially look to improve. And then if you're in the red, then obviously that's going to impact you. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
So this is going to the question that's just been asked. Great question. So club speed. So the club speed. Now the club is obviously what you can deliver. Yeah. Now interestingly, your club speed is in the green range.
Okay.
So from the player's perspective, they're doing an awful lot of good.
Yeah.
So if the club is in a good range, but the ball isn't, why might that be?
Impact location.
Brilliant. So where are you striking it on the face? So something that does jump to mind is impact ratio. So you just got away with it. You just kept happening in the green. Yeah, only just. So impact location definitely is going to be a factor.
Yeah.
Let me go path. So twist. Yeah, there we go. You see the twist at impact?
Yeah.
Is it picked it up? Yeah. So this is exactly why the range is so important.
Yeah.
So the average is perfect.
Yeah.
But let's be honest.
Toe strike by any chance?
A few toes and a few heels, and the average is good, but that doesn't.
And the ball speed can vary quite a bit off a heel strike.
We need to know the range. We need to know the range. So that 0.34, that's exactly what is telling me why. When we translate that back to ball speed, we've got to focus a little bit more
on centerness of contact.
Centerness of strike, Quintic will measure heel-toe twist, and it'll also give you top-bottom.
Yeah.
So if you're catching some in the bottom or just like with the driver, high in the face, a bit more spinny, launch it a little higher. Yeah. Exactly the same with the putter. So long story short, to go back to that question, we need to focus a little, because you're doing the club. The club's amazing. Yeah. So the player's doing a good job, but we know we can improve ball performance by getting a more centerness of strike. Yeah. And then potentially this is where fitting comes in. Yeah. Blade, mallets, MOIs, style of the head, to give the player more forgiveness. Yeah,
but to go to the question, it's the term a well-fitted putter. Drill-wise, I'm thinking ladder drills, anything that's going to stress your ability to repeat things with regard to sort of drills to work on pace control. Is there anything that you use in your coaching when you're, other than the data, obviously? Yeah,
the data here, again, I'm just going to look at your acceleration profile. Yeah. I mean, again, that's something I always look at, because that is a factor of length of stroke, length of backswing, length of through swing. Yeah. Acceleration is just a hint on the high side. So I would be potentially looking from a fitting perspective. I think you're doing a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, one of the things that highlighted when I came up and saw you early part of the year was my acceleration was classic short to long. Make sure my follow throughs is longer than my backswing. Make sure I don't decelerate in there. And that's a little bit of a myth, isn't it, about length of backswing and stuff. And a lot of people's distance control challenges come from technique. And just
100%.
I always talk about short to long and make sure you accelerate being the putting version of keep your left arm straight and keep your head down type sort of things. It's people stuff that you hear from the side of the putting green when the guy having his G&T is talking to the junior who's going around the putting green 15,000 times before he gets picked up by his mum. This is the classic one, is it? Make sure your backswing's shorter than your follow through. Make sure you don't decelerate. But nowadays, as we were saying earlier, with data-driven putting strokes, we're seeing a trend towards more of almost a 60-40 ratio on tour nowadays. When you look at Cam Smith and his wonderful performance at the Open, and you've got guys saying, "Oh, look how good he could be if he followed through." It's like, well, the reason he's putting so well is because his backswing to follow-through ratio is much more data-driven, where he's controlling his speed off the face because of that pendulous collision where he's making an effort to make a pendulous stroke, but the mass of the ball is slowing the putter face down at impact, which is influencing the length of his follow through. Whereas we're all told we've got to keep that putter through, keep some force on the handle. And you start seeing, I've had some very interesting acceleration profiles and speed profiles recently.
Where the club's actually faster after the ball than actually on the ball. Yeah, which is
great when you're trying to hit the ball a long way. But when you're trying to control pace, having that collision.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's a really important.
Yeah, but I think from that point of view, if you're working on your game, anything that can help you with length of backswing drills, anything that can help you control your tempo, metronome drills, things like
metronome. So we would have back into the data now. We do have your. Let me find it if I can remember which one it's on. Ball launch. No, hold on. I've got to remember which one it's on now.
What are you after?
I'm after the timing. There he is.
There he is.
Address to impact time. So 0.84 of a second. So let's just bring that into beats per minute. 73, 72 beats per minute. So you could be. I'd like to see what would happen now if we could reduce the length of the through swing and then see how that influences.
That's what I've been working quite hard on, trying to get a little bit more energy in the backswing. So get a little bit more energy in transition and then coast
through.
I actually feel like I'm slightly decelerating coming into the ball. And we say pre-Paul's intervention back in the early part of the year, my acceleration would have been 4 and 5 miles an hour per second. When I'm well drilled and I've practiced, I can get it into the green, which is 1.5 and below, isn't it? So, and the distance and the control of the distance is so much better when I do that. But hardwired to short to long for so many years.
Correct.
Worrying too much about making sure I didn't leave it short.
But that's when head weights as well now of the putter can have a big influence.
When I started with my 40-pound ping answer in 1988, 89, a little bit different head weights now.
Sure. Now
so there was a little bit of a different story there.
Yeah, makes it easier.
Should we give you a little bit of different data to see what's going on, and we'll get James to hit a couple of putts. You got a preference of putter?
My debut.
Debut. Yeah.
Dodgy stroke it.
I'm saying nothing there. Preference of putter, blade or a mallet?
I'm not going to tell you anything.
You're not going to tell me anything, so you're going to start off with this one. Thing is, I know what your putter is.
But just while you do that, okay. But if I'm looking at, Mike, what you've just done there, your face rotation, this is our fitting chart. Your face rotation is excellent.
Yep.
22, brilliant. And it's in a good range.
Yep.
A fraction inconsistent with the face, but there's definitely a little bit of left bias. Yeah, there's your bad one. There's a hint left. So that's potentially something. We know the ball speed. We've just discussed that. And your launch angle, it's not bad. It's not bad. So we're going to give you, you've done a lot of good stuff to get your launching an average of 2 and be that consistent. So
I always blame the dimples.
No, but launch is body, shaft, angle. So that's pretty consistent. So
I hope that's on camera, James.
So a hint left, but nothing crazy. But that's our fitting chart that we would work from. So
I use that all the time.
You're pretty close. Pretty close. That face rotation is so important from the fitting perspective.
And keeping that low, the way I talk to people about that, if we can get the face rotation consistent, that's the first thing. But if we can keep it in a lower value, the way I talk about it is that gives us a bigger range or a bigger window where the face is appropriately square
to the target,
for longer. If you've got a lot of face rotation, if that number's up in I've seen it as much as 160 in this room, believe it or not.
Oh my God.
But if it's up in the 70s and 80s, you're just narrowing the window. You're making it more important that your ball position's consistent, that you're practicing maybe a little harder so that you can time that high rate of rotation.
There's one point that it's square, but good luck trying to find it.
So,
One question's come in.
Okay.
Ant followed up. Ant like
is it only Ant asks questions?
A regular on our screen. He said, so is 72 beats per minute the aim?
No, not necessarily. No, not at all. It's finding what's right for you. Finding what's right for you. We had, who am I going to think of here?
I can think of an example at the Belfry where we had Jason's son.
Lauren Roberts.
Lauren Roberts. Data was ridiculous.
Lauren Roberts, the boss of the Moss. Probably old, if you need to be a certain age to remember Lauren, but
yes,
his was down at 43 and 44 beats per minute. It's virtually like he was dead. And it was like, took so long, but super consistent. And his acceleration was lovely. Ball speed, surprise, surprise, was fantastic.
Amazing, wasn't it? That data
then
was
you've got other guys that are up at sort of 80, 85, 90 beats per minute to make the stroke. John Rahm jumps to mind. He's up at 85. He's super fast. Dung, dung. But again, it's individual. I'm not going to say which is the right number.
Yeah, I saw some data that Phil Kenyon shared with the tempo stick.
With the stick, yeah.
And I think there was a 25 beats per minute range from his data of the slowest players that he's worked with Molinari up in almost the hundreds. I mean, just totally different. It is a personal thing.
Sure.
It's what works for you at the end of the day.
Well, you haven't seen James Davey yet.
We have, you're there.
We have. Well, I've seen him.
Right.
So, but then the tempo will influence the putter.
Yes.
Don't forget the weight of it, the length of it, the shaft. All of that's going to have an influence. So this is why measuring. Yeah. Again, there's no right or wrong. We're looking for consistency of the data.
End of the day, all we're trying to do in a fit and a lesson to a certain degree is get that club face square from that point of view, and the timing element, the balance of the putter can really affect how that rate of rotation, toe hang, all the variables within a putter design all kind of snowball together to help the player square up or not. And we say mass is a huge thing, and everyone's tempo and rhythm and stroke type is always different. Right, let's get you calibrated, sir. See if we test my knees out.
How long we got?
Oh, to get calibrated.
Calibrating is the easy bit.
That's the easy bit. The problem we have is when you think people say the laser's not aiming at the hole. Yeah. That's the first problem.
Oh, yeah.
You know you've got a trouble then. Yeah. You know you've got trouble.
I've had to try and break people's arms to get it square. Pop your putter in there, James.
Yeah, and then they don't put the putter flush up against the block.
It. Well, they're scared of moving it, so we just got to get that right in the middle there.
So getting the camera calibrated, yeah. So your setup, James.
So you want me to set up square, what I think square?
What you think is, but your shaft position, shaft lead. Oh, you could do that, by all means.
Stop turning it left.
He's wanting to sneak it left,
That's
is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
That feels open.
See, this is why Paul actually advocates doing this as part of the process rather than putting it in a clamp system where it is like a sterile environment, because it can be quite insightful to both the fitter and
the
player.
First impressions often.
But to me, this blade looks open, but it's
right.
It's not.
No, agreed. So let's go. You happy?
Yep.
Mike, you're happy?
Yeah, I'm happy.
Importantly.
I'm always happy, Paul, except for when Stuart's around.
So just wait for the long beat, and Mike's just making sure he doesn't tweak it. I know.
And
people are liable to
people of a certain generation are waiting for the time sponsored by Accurist after that beep. Right, we're done.
We're done.
We're done. Perfect. Yeah. Right. So we just check those measurements. Should be the same, but we'll double check.
It will be, but that's interesting why it hasn't.
As a fitter, you can influence what somebody perceives to be a square alignment with different head styles.
Oh, definitely. Head shape.
For me, you've lined me up completely square, and this putter looks open.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that, as Paul said, Paul's quite an advocate of doing that in the player's position, so that the player can tell you things like that, and that kind of preempts you what his or her visual bias might be. So I do part of the fitting. I do a visual bias test to see how people see a straight line, because if they're not seeing the straight line with the length of putter they've got, the distance they are away from the ball, trying to aim straight, there's a very good chance that they're aiming based on what they think is square. So if you set up and you think you're square, but your perception of square is left or right of the target, then there is a good chance. That's it, just the other side. So imagine it's your ball marker.
So, and again, using a line on the ball, exactly the same. People think the line is square, but it's not.
Yep.
So, sorry, 1 second. Interesting. Bear with me 1 second. Reload last ball calibration.
Oh, gossiping.
That's amazing. That didn't remember it. I think I'm talking to myself.
Right. Okay.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Away you go.
Nobody's watching.
Nobody's watching.
Only David and Pat.
I am.
And Ant. It's a quiet day in Folkestone.
So here we go. I would hope guys had spotted that. It was a little bit of backspin. There we go.
Once you've watched that image a few times, you can predict what the numbers are going to be.
So face was nice. Yeah, that on the beep you can go. Once you've heard the beep.
No, but going back to your point about head shape and
right.
alignment, it's amazing how small little changes, James, can really affect the accuracy of somebody's face aim.
So the face wasn't so good on that one. Quickly.
Started to think about it.
Yeah, just hold the putt. Look at your target. Yeah, just come in, just giving it a little help, aren't you? Face was better, little into out.
Oh yeah, got a blue number, James.
Toey, that one.
Yeah, good call. Again, that's another part of the system. I'm sure you do it in full swing. You get guys to call out data.
Yep.
Call out numbers. Yeah, certainly in the toe.
Again, a bit toey.
So a little
We do numbers
tendency,
wise.
just
I'll be the ball boy.
just potentially pulling across the putt. It's definitely in the toe. A little bit of cut spin. Launch is good. Nice green acceleration.
Unlike your partner in crime.
Unlike the part here. But I think, yes please, one more. Better sound, wasn't it? Much more. That sounded nicer out of the centre. Still a hint better out the middle. 41. So yeah, I think the key difference from a putter fitting perspective, Mike using that same putter. This is again how people control the putter in different ways. Mike was low 20s in face rotation, whereas you've doubled it in how much you want to rotate that putter. That putter is swinging twice as quickly. Now, if I go club data and maybe club head, yeah, or even path. Yeah, so path pretty neutral. But if I was to drag this one down, so you face the path, you're 1 and a bit degrees open with 3 inches to go. You come into impact, pretty square, nice, and then a post impact, so 1 and a bit. So yeah, 1 and a bit open this way, square, 1 and a bit closed to path. So that your path was excellent, but what I'm saying here is, and I'll look at my back to the camera, I've got your face is open to path, closed to path, in just that short period of time. Yeah, through impact. So the face rotation value was up at 40, which is amber. It's just telling me there's a little bit fast. Same putter, same different player, different way of delivering the putter. Not that I'm saying that your way of delivering it is wrong, but we'd be going, I'd want to reduce the amount of rotation by the different style of head, flow, potentially more toe hang, believe it or not, to actually slow it down. Yeah. To bring that number, I need to bring that number from 40 down to more like 20 to give you a chance to square the face.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Because you've got the stroke itself on the whole there wasn't bad, but you've got one that's at 40 and then one that's at 20. And what I don't want to happen is for you to try and manipulate the putter. Yeah, I want you to be make your natural rhythm, natural stroke, because when you start, as soon as you start to manipulate it, you're never sure whether the putter's open or closed at impact, because it's happening so quickly.
So even with James's motion in mind there, he's using a face balanced putter with the Chicago. So we can either go to, like we're going to go to here, with something with a classic plumber's neck, so we've got a little bit more toe hang, or you can start going into something with a bit of a CG a little further back,
Fraction further away.
May make it a little easier for you to time that rate of rotation by moving that centre of gravity away from the face. We do a couple of things with regard to the moment of inertia. Obviously, it's making it slightly more forgiving, but a mallet putter with the same amount of toe hang will move subtly different and may be the fix for somebody like yourself. All depending on how you aim it, those sorts of things. But anytime you can manipulate the rate of rotation by changing the flow and the balance of the putter can make a big difference. So we'll go to something similar head shape.
If people can see that one, but you obviously had 2 blues that have gone in. They're brilliant. Yeah, but you've had one putt that was a little open, a red 168 open, and then you've had a couple that, one was a fraction closed. So it's the range of which how the putter's been delivered. That's the key bit, and range is dictated by face rotation. So what do we got? A new one?
We've got a new one. Yeah.
So I'm going to go different average, and let's recalibrate. Are you ready?
Yeah. Just get that in the middle.
It's the interesting, different hosel style.
Oh yeah.
Setting up to it
differently.
Knowing that the laser is right inside the cup, the blade looks a lot more square than that.
Fantastic.
What was the other one? It was a gooseneck, wasn't
it? It was a double bend.
Double bend.
Double bend. Yeah.
Double bend.
Yeah. So simple things like hosel type can really help or hinder with how the player sees the face square.
Absolutely. Yeah. Then you go into colours, you go into alignments. Yeah. So all of that is trying to complement what your brain is seeing. Can I just measure it once more, please?
And that's the sort of thing we were saying there. Stuff you don't worry about in a long game fit can have a massive effect on how a player perceives the face square. I had a customer, Tom was sitting in on the fit actually. I had a customer not that long ago, came with a blacked out Scotty Cameron blade that he couldn't aim. He was aiming left, if memory serves me right, quite dramatically. And when we did the perceptual bias, we saw that he may be a player that worked better with lines, linear lines running towards the target versus something that's perpendicular. So we tried him actually, I think it was this putter, because it had a line on it, but it wasn't any different to his normal shape.
New balls, please.
New balls, please. And he lined the putter up immaculately just by adding a sight line and a slightly flatter lie angle. Mm-hmm. So he turned around and he said, well, it can't be that simple. So I said, okay, well, let's take your putter, we'll flatten it. And we've temporarily painted the line that was in his putter white rather than black, and exactly the same. He just didn't have an appreciation of where the face was because he didn't have a reference point. As soon as you put the reference point on there and flattened it, suddenly he could aim straight. Wasn't great for the business because it was just some white paint and off he went. But
we recently,
but that's the whole thing. Was it the right putter? Yes, it was the right putter he had. He just didn't have it set up correctly, and it can make such a difference to some people.
We worked with a chap who's played a couple of full tour events, and he had three Sharpie marks on the top of his putter. So he was in this weekend just been, and we took those off and we laser etched 3 lines on the top edge.
I saw I saw that.
Worked brilliantly. Well,
brilliant.
Seen,
yeah, no, well, that again, it's even more custom fitting, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah.
Right, slow in, Doctor.
Ready when you are. Ready when you are. Just try and keep it. That's your target. Let's just roll them in.
Good to go?
Yes,
yep.
Ready when you are.
Brilliant.
Okay. So what we're working
Just
on
so
here is, can I get, so already that face rotation's down in 26. That's what I want to see. Can we get that number down? Once I've got that down, then we can work on the next stage. I get that. That rate of rotation is much more in tune with how you want to swing.
The blade does feel more stable.
Yeah.
28, brilliant. Now again, we're launching it a bit high, we've got a bit of spin, but that will deal with that secondary. Yeah.
It is amazing how the putter can feel just by changing that visual so that you're seeing it a bit squarer, but also just get the flow of the putter, the balance of the putter to suit your stroke type,
yeah,
suit your rate of rotation. To the player, it suddenly feels 10 times better.
A little out to in, yeah, okay, but the face rotation, which is what we're after, we're bringing that number down. We can work on the next bits. Yeah.
Feels a sweeter strike with this blade as well.
34 again. So good, but there's similar tendencies. A little bit of a toe strike, a little bit of an out to in, but that would be you. But let's keep going.
Good numbers.
34. I think we are averaging. If we knock that guy out, no, that was the high one. Come on, let's drop that in. 32, yeah, a little bit out to in, but that's what we want to see. I just want to take them two away. And let's just go.
Really good.
So we're coming down. So we could go again. How much toe flow is actually on that particular putter?
It's about 45 degrees.
Okay, so 31. I mean, they're good numbers. So there even would be a potential to go again, and at some point it will start to go back the other way, and you lack control. But that one, you are. Let's just get So you're much more consistent now with that putter. Much more consistent. 8 rotation.
It's good.
Happy
really
days.
Good.
So yes, okay, so we go to the next stage. Sorry, let's go back 1 second. So, a little bit toe strikey, and we know we're going to launch it a little high, but that could now be a static loft change, a little bit to do with shaft lean, shafted address, fraction out to in, but again, that's you were doing that with both. So that's where technique fitting, we might, a little bit of work on that.
Bit of blend, yeah.
Bit of both, but in terms of getting the right style of putter, hopefully that didn't take too long.
Yeah.
And now it might say, see if you find anything else you like.
Too long.
Too long. Ah.
He loves the pun, does our James? You get a pun in there.
It did take too long.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's that thing. Is head shape is a personal thing, and the flow of the putter is a very thing. Is visually you need to be able to align it, and mechanically you need to be able to square it up. You've got to get those two blends together. And with a lot of players, they struggle to get that blend because they get stuck with it must look a certain way, and that's quite a challenge sometimes with some players to get them out of something that doesn't really work for them and understand why we maybe won't go down those avenues. But it is. Yeah, no worries. And that's the thing is, say that everyone's different. Everyone's got a little combination of look and feel that works for them. The amount of toe flow and toe hang, as Paul said, toe hang can be quite a confusing subject for people. People have heard of it because it's a marketing story. I sat in many marketing conversations at Odyssey about how we're going to market this one a little bit differently from last one, and the story of have you got an arc stroke, have you got a straight back and through stroke. Toe hang gets a little bit misunderstood, and it's there to help you time the rate of rotation. And as Paul did there is, most people think that toe hang adds rate of rotation. It's actually the opposite. It actually helps slow it down a little bit. Same with centre of gravity location. So you see you have a toe hang putter with the centre of gravity quite close to the face versus a face balance putter with a bit more of a sort of less toe hang, and they can move fairly similarly because of where the centre of gravity is. Vice versa, you can have a very face balanced design, one with the centre of gravity that's really far back and one with the centre of gravity quite forward, and they will move totally different. But when you do the classic little test on your fingers or on the bench, this one will have different toe hang, because when you start putting them into this plane and you start tilting them up, if the centre of gravity is way back, you'll see that will fall that way very quickly. When the centre of gravity is more in line with the shaft there, when you kind of bring that up, it'll still go that way because the centre of gravity is behind the shaft, but it goes much slower. So when you're talking about rotation as you come in, two face balance putters can move dramatically differently. And again, it's too pigeonholed sometimes, if you like. Yeah. Any more questions, Stu?
No more questions.
No more. So
I will duck out. Thank you.
No, pleasure.
Mike is available for fittings and for coaching.
Yep.
Call the studio.
Yep.
Over to Stuart.
Well done, James.
That's good.
Yep.
Perfect.
Happy?
Done.
Yeah, perfect.
Done. Oh, we're gone, are we? You chopped it. Oh,
No,
thanks
back
for
over
watching.
there. Well, Paul,
Oh.
Mike, James, that's been really, really insightful. If you
We
can
are
move
still
the
going.
camera, yeah, we'll move the camera
around
around
this
there. There we go. Well, hopefully you've enjoyed that last just over an hour insights with
an hour.
Paul
Wow.
and Mike. I know I learned a great deal, and I'm sure watching this video back a few times, you'll learn even more. If you'd like to find out more about what we offer here, check out the Precision Golf website. Paul, you're off to Wentworth now.
Yes.
Week down there.
Week down at Wentworth. See
Yeah.
how the players are still moaning.
Super.
It should be good fun though.
Yeah,
Should be
they
good.
want it all now.
Of course
and
they
no
do.
patience.
No, 0.
And if they can win this week, brilliant.
Be a busy week for him this week.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks very much again.
No, pleasure.
If you've enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe, share with your friends. It really helps us here grow the channel, trying to bring you the best content we possibly can. And we look forward to seeing you all next time.